After a breakup, do you find yourself questioning everything? Asking things like, was it my fault? Am I not good enough? Will I ever find love again? If so, you're not alone. This self doubt is especially common for women with an anxious attachment style. And in this video, I'm going to break down why this happens. Okay, let's start by unpacking what an anxious attachment style is and why it influences how we feel after a breakup. If you have an anxious attachment style, you likely have a deep rooted fear of abandonment and rejection. This usually comes from early life experiences where love or attention from caregivers felt inconsistent or unpredictable. Maybe there were moments when you felt truly seen and valued, but other times when that love and attention seemed to disappear, leaving you unsure or insecure. As a result, you learn to seek constant reassurance and external validation to feel secure and safe. Fast forward to adulthood, and those early life experiences shape how we show up in intimate relationships. You might find yourself hyper focused on your partner's behavior, overanalyzing the words or actions, constantly looking for assurance that they care about you and that they won't leave. Small things like a delayed text or a change in their tone might feel like a warning sign that there's something wrong and that they are rejecting you. Understand this. I know how it feels. And it's exhausting because I've been there. And because relationships become such a big part of your identity, you believe that your worth is tied to how much your partner loves or needs you. You might also find yourself prioritizing your partner's needs over your own, believing that if you can just make them happy, they will stay. This is why a breakup might feel like the ground has literally been ripped out from underneath you. Without that relationship, it's like you lost a part of yourself, the part that felt validated and safe because there was someone else out there to reassure you. Now, let's talk about why a breakup feels so devastating for someone with an anxious attachment style. When the relationship ends, it's not just the loss of your partner, it's also the loss of the emotional security and validation they provided. For women with an anxious attachment style, breakups feel deeply personal. Even if the relationship wasn't perfect or healthy, there's a part of you that held on to it because it felt safer than being alone. When that's gone, you're left questioning everything. It's like your brain interprets the breakup as a rejection of you, your worth, your value, and your ability to be loved. This is when the spiral of self blame starts. Maybe you found yourself going through every single conversation and moment in the relationship, searching for answers, trying to figure out what went wrong. You think things like, was it my fault? Did I do something to push them away? Could I have been better? These thoughts can feel overwhelming, and they're often filled by a belief that you weren't enough to make the relationship work. This is such a common response for anxious attachers because we've learned to take on the responsibility of making a relationship work even when it's not fair to us. And then there's that little voice in our head, the inner critic that becomes louder after a breakup. It tells us things like, you're not good enough, you'll never find someone to love you as much as as your ex did. This breakup proves there's something wrong with you. What if this was my only chance at love? These thoughts can feel real, but it's really important to recognize them and to remember that they are not facts. They are stories your brain is telling you because it's trying to make sense of the loss. And these stories often come from the fear and insecurity tied to our attachment style, not from the truth about who we are. Here's something that might surprise you. There's actually an evolutionary reason why breakups feel so personal, especially for anxious attachers. Your reaction to a breakup isn't just emotional, it's actually biological. Here's why. As humans, we are wired for connection. Think back to early human history. Being part of a group or maintaining close bonds was very critical for survival. Losing a bond, whether it was a partner, a family member, or community, meant being at risk. That's why our brains evolved to treat the loss of a connection as a threat, even though you're not in a life or death situation. Your brain doesn't know that and it reacts as if you are. This triggers intense emotions like sadness, fear, and self-doubt. For someone with an anxious attachment style, this response feels even stronger because of the way we've learned to connect. Your self esteem has been closely tied to your partner's approval. So when the relationship ends, it's not just about losing the person, it's also about losing the sense of stability and worthiness that you felt when this person was around. This is why you might feel such intense self doubt, because a breakup has shaken both your external world, meaning your relationship with your partner, and your inner sense of who you are, i.e., the version of yourself that felt safe and validated in the relationship. It's like a double hit. You're grieving the loss of your partner while also questioning your own value. And that's a lot to process, especially when the voice of self doubt keeps feeding you negative thoughts. So, if you find yourself caught in self doubt after a breakup, it's not because there's something wrong with you. I want you to know it's not because you're weak or unlovable. It's because your brain and your heart are reacting to the loss of a bond, something that felt essential to your sense of security. It's a natural response, especially for someone with an anxious attachment style. And while it might feel overwhelming right now, the good news is that this is not the end of your story. There are steps you can take to break free from this cycle, rebuild your confidence, and rediscover your worth. In next week's video, I'm going to show you exactly how to start that process. So make sure to watch that one when I put it up, and also make sure to subscribe to watch more of these videos about healing and confidence after a breakup. And until I see you again in the next video, bye for now.